Day 74 of war, and sirens are still sounding in Tel Aviv. Hamas rockets can still threaten the city's pristine towers, kept safe by the Iron Dome. Israel's leader Benjamin Netanyahu has been clear the war won't stop until Hamas is obliterated. So the sight of Israelis still running for cover shows that mission is far from complete. But at the same time, international patience for scenes like these is running out. Palestinians yet again digging out their loved ones with their bare hands, as children watch on from their destroyed homes. Pink and post-it notes, unfulfilled tasks now meaningless when your only job is hour-by-hour survival. Over 20 people were killed in these homes in Rafah. Many had fled to this southern city for safety.
These buildings have people from Gaza City and the north, from all areas staying here, as it's a safe place. But there is no safety. The Israelis hit every place. They targeted everywhere.
Israel say they carried out a targeted operation that took out a Hamas financier. Mohammed was pulled from the rubble. He survived. His children, 2-year-old Ahmed and his baby sister, did not. Their grandmother had this message for Netanyahu.
Does he think that by killing these children he'll achieve something? Have they succeeded now? Has he achieved what he wants? No, he hasn't achieved what he wants.
While within Israel, Netanyahu's government stands accused of not achieving the release of hostages. Protesters continue to camp outside the military headquarters, demanding more is done. Ayla just got a glimpse of her 80-year-old father-in-law in a Hamas video.
This one. It was a joy for a moment to see them alive, to see them okay, sitting, talking, but they lost weight and they seem to be weak.
About 120 hostages are still thought to be in captivity. Tonight, the UN Security Council is due to vote on a new ceasefire resolution. It's already been delayed. Each word is being fought over. Cessation of hostilities could now be replaced with suspension to get the US on board. A pause in fighting would allow much-needed aid into Gaza and a night's sleep without the fear of death.
Well, joining me now is Aaron David Miller, former US Middle East negotiator at the State Department, who's a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Aaron, it's good to speak to you again. We're just getting word now from Tel Aviv that the Israeli government is really, really keen on a deal, to have more hostages released in return for prisoners. I mean, is that what's also defining the timing at the UN? They want this deal before some kind of resolution is imposed on them, including by their friends, the Americans.
I think it's more a question of pressure from the hostages' families. Even if the United States abstains or votes for a UN Security Council resolution, I doubt, frankly, whether that would change the battlefield dynamic. And that's what's driving this. The Israelis are determined to continue their campaign to destroy Hamas's military infrastructure above and below ground and kill its senior leaders.
Right.
Hamas is holding on to hostages, playing for time in an effort to obtain a permanent cessation of hostilities and be able to declare victory. That dynamic has not changed. Maybe there's a possibility of additional humanitarian pauses, which would be extraordinarily important for the suffering that the people of Gaza have been subjected to. But I don't see any permanent cessation, and I don't believe that a UN Security Council resolution is going to fundamentally alter that battlefield dynamic right now.
Right. But are you saying that the hostage families in Israel have more leverage over their government than the United States, despite all its support?
I think that's actually, it shouldn't come as a surprise. I mean, particularly for the hostages, families of hostages have not been released. Every day that the Israeli military campaign, Hamas's confrontation with Israel continues, is a day that those hostages who have been taken by Hamas is at greater risk. You've seen that over the course of the last several weeks. So yeah, I think it's quite natural that a government's own citizens are going to have more influence over its actions than its chief ally.
Right. So, but that chief ally is providing Israel with a lot of military and financial and, of course, moral and political support. Do the Americans really have as little leverage over the Israelis as now appears to be the case?
I think the answer to that is no. The United States has tremendous leverage.
But they're not using it.
Well, they're not using it in large part because I think from President Biden's calculation, he's looking for an outcome that, frankly, ends Hamas's sovereignty in Gaza. And I think that the president shares, I think, Israel's objectives here. There's been a departure, obviously, in terms of the tactics. And I think you may well see in January a fundamental change in Israel's operational tempo in Gaza, a lower level campaign, more targeted, more intelligence driven, which would allow permanent and predictable humanitarian corridors to be established so that UN agencies and others could reliably, without fear for their own lives, surge humanitarian assistance into Gaza. That's the objective. But right now, let's be clear. Without a quid pro quo for a permanent cessation of hostilities, either return of all of the hostages on Hamas's part or demilitarization, it seems to me the U.S. is not going to apply significant pressure.
I wish we had more time, but I just want to turn your attention to the straits leading into the Red Sea. How dangerous is the Houthi attacks on international shipping and the fact that those ships have now been diverted, including by companies like BP? How dangerous is it for the world economy and also in terms of this conflict spreading?
It's very, because you're not talking about a minor sort of Scrabble militia here. You're talking about what may be Iran's southern Hezbollah. And the Houthis controlling Sana'a and a third of the most populated part of Yemen may also get to control resources. It may well be that what we're watching is Iranian and Houthi leverage over the Bab el-Mandeb Straits and traffic in the Red Sea. If that should occur, you're talking about a disruption of anywhere from 10 to 15% of global traffic through the Red Sea, through Suez Canal, which would force a delay of weeks having to go around the Cape of Good Hope. So I think this is a problem now, but it's going to become a much greater problem later.
And we'll be talking to you about it at some stage in the future. Aaron David Miller, thank you very much indeed.